Thank you for joining us. Today's Tips and Tricks webinar is Steep Slope Maps Made Easy in Civil 3D. Before we get started, I have a couple of updates. Because this is a public presentation, we will have all mics muted. We do encourage you to ask questions, and we have allocated time for Q&A at the end of the webinar. If you look at your go-to control panel, you will see a question box and a chat box. Enter any questions you may have during the presentation in either box, and we will answer them at the end. We are ZenTek Consultants, a technology consulting firm providing innovative technology solutions to the Canadian CAD, BIM, and construction marketplaces. Our focus is to improve efficiencies, which in turn leads to increased productivity. I'm Steve Fahey, based in Halifax. I manage our Canadian operations. I invite you to visit our website to learn more about our company and our offerings. Also, don't forget to follow ZenTek Consultants CA on LinkedIn to stay up to date on all of our upcoming webinars. I wanted to let you know we offer a wide range of Civil 3D training, online live courses, private courses, custom courses, and on-demand courses. Please visit our website or contact me directly to learn more. I'm pleased to have Cindy Davenport joining me today. Cindy has an excess of 30 years experience implementing and supporting technology in the CAD BIM construction fields. She has co-authored 3 books on mastering Civil 3D and has been an instructor at Autodesk University. We are very happy to have Cindy and her technical expertise on our team. At this time, I will hand the presentation over to Cindy.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, great. All right, so next step is to share my screen. So let me see if I can do that.
If you can't grab it, I can change it to you.
Yeah, can you change it? Because there's no option here to share my screen. All right, now I have options to share my screen. Thank you.
There you go.
All right, so let's see if I can pick the right screen this time to share. All right. As I hover over each option, there we go. Now, can you see my AutoCAD screen?
Yes, I can.
Great. That means I can begin. All right, so today's session is about steep slope maps. All right, what is a steep slope map? It is it's a visual kind of thing that we prepare, an exhibit that we prepare in order to provide some sort of presentation, in order to get a point across to people when we're speaking with them about perhaps grading issues and earthworks and things we have to do to the site. So the way we do an analysis for a surface is actually located in the surface properties. It's really not up here on the analysis tab. You're not going to see very much for surfaces, except here, of course, where you say volumes and materials. The analysis I'm speaking of occurs within the surface properties. All right, so on this existing surface, I'm going to show you how to perform an analysis. So you notice I'm over on the prospector here. I'm just going to right click and go to surface properties. So you can go to surface properties in a multitude of different ways. I could actually select the surface and choose surface properties from my ribbon. Or a nice quick way, I tend to use this a lot, I just use my right click menu and go to surface properties. So anyway, once you open up surface properties, there we are. Center this a little bit. There's a tab called analysis, right? On this tab is where you put together the different types of analysis that you want to perform on the surface. Now, you must know that in order to display an analysis, you have to have an associated style, right? So if we go over to the information tab and we hit the drop down here, you see I have several different analysis styles here. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this over to a slope banding analysis. Okay, so this particular style is configured to show slope banding, which is actually slope shading. I should rename this to slope shading, but anyway. We come over to the analysis. Let's perform the analysis, then we'll get into how a style is put together. Go over to the analysis tab. In order to do a slope analysis, you need to change the analysis type because you notice that the current analysis says elevations. That's the default analysis. Hit the drop down, you'll see there's a bunch of different ones here. We can do a contour analysis. We can do directions, elevation, slopes, blah, blah, blah. Several different ones. And we'll get into those in a little bit, but I want to show you how to do a steep slope analysis. So I'm going to select slopes. Okay. With any analysis, you can generate a legend, and that would be a surface table. And what that's going to do is give you a color swatch in one column. And then in another column, it's going to describe what that color swatch represents. So for slope analysis, maybe we want to do an analysis between 3 different slope ranges. Okay, so under ranges, we would say 3. Once you do that, you hit this Run Analysis button here. When you do that, it gets pushed down into the range details area. And notice I have 3 different ranges here. I've got different minimum and maximum slope values. What it does is it divides the entire slope range up into 3 pieces, as I specified to do here. All right, so what I can do here is come and fine tune all of these values here to what it is that I want. So let's say my area that a steep slope is considered to be anything above 25. Okay, so anything above 25 is going to be shaded purple by default here. Okay, I move up to my next area. Maybe I want to adjust this to match the beginning range of my last one. So I'm going to say my mid slopes are between 10 and 25 here, and those are going to be green. All right, so now my minimum slope here, I'm going to just even up the max with the minimum on the next line, type 10 here. And now I am able to, once I hit apply, I'm able to view where all these different slope ranges are occurring. Now, if I wanted to change the default colors that came in, it's very easy. All I need to do is come in here and maybe for my minimum slopes, just double click in there, you get your AutoCAD color swatch here. Maybe I want that one to be green instead. Just click OK. Now for the mid slope range, I'll just click in that color, get the color swatch up here. Maybe I want that to be yellow. I just choose yellow. And then finally, click on the last one to set that color. Maybe that's red. Maybe that's the way I want my colors to be laid out. All right, so once I get that done, all I need to do is hit apply, or I just hit OK, and OK will apply it. So now you see all the green area are my flatter areas, yellow areas are my mid-range slopes, and the red areas are my steep slopes. So that's how you can create a slope analysis map. All right, so you can do a lot of other things using this concept. Okay, so I can come back into my surface properties here. I'll just go to it through the prospector. And maybe I want to change this to maybe a contour analysis. Well, what's a contour analysis? Same type of thing. What you're going to be doing is creating ranges of contours. Okay, so contours falling between this range and this range is going to be a certain color. It's going to be red here. Contours falling between the next range is going to be this green color here. And the next range will be cyan. The next range will be purple. And of course, as you can see here, I can always change these ranges to a more rounder number if I wanted to, just by coming in and typing in and modifying those values. Now I can change these different ranges look, again, by coming over here. If I hit the color palette here, it brings up the AutoCAD color swatch. Okay, if I hit the next one over, it brings up the AutoCAD line weight selection tool. Then I hit the next little button over, that shows me all my line types. All right, so I can have different line types applied to my different ranges. And again, for whatever type of analysis I run here, I need to have a style that matches. So let me show you what's in configuring an analysis style. So to configure analysis style, I'll just go ahead and I'm going to choose a different one of these. I'm going to choose direction here. Okay. So what a direction style does is it will shade according to the direction the water is flowing. Okay. So I'm going to edit that one, show you how that is done. When you create an analysis style, one of the first things you want to do is go to the display tab. And then using these light bulbs, you're going to turn on what it is you're displaying. So the items at the bottom of this list, starting with directions here, these are the analysis results. So we have directions, elevations, slopes, and that's the one we just used for our steep slope analysis. That light bulb would be on. Slope arrows, we could do a slope arrow analysis, and watershed. You have to turn the light bulb on in order to display the analysis results. All right, so let's say I just selected directions. What's the next thing I do? Well, I have to visit the analysis tab. Then on the analysis tab, I go to the particular analysis that I'm running, directions here, hit the plus sign, and then I can configure the color scheme I'm going to be using when I start creating my ranges. All right, grouping, but you have to kind of experiment with this group to see this grouping, these different grouping techniques. These are based on statistical analysis, just to see, you know, what the differences are and what you prefer. And then your range precision. Okay, I can say I want a precision of 1, so I don't go to any decimal places. What do I want to display in this? I have some different options. I can display 2D solids, 3D faces, hatch solids, or mesh. Okay, so for a legend, I could create a legend style and choose what legend style that I want to use, that I want to assign to this particular analysis style. And I have the same for some similar ones for elevations here. See number of ranges, range color, group by, all that. And I would have to go to each one of these guys and configure if, you know, depending on whether that item is turned on here on the lower part of this list, which, you know, displays the components for analysis. Okay, so for directions, I'm just going to hit OK here. And I'm going to go over to the analysis tab, and I'm going to change the analysis type to directions. Okay, let's say I want to do 4 different areas there. And so the directions kind of a little bit skewed by 2 degrees here. You know, if that happens to you, if your directions are a little bit skewed, you can always come in here and override them. And you know, it's really hard to type in bearings because you got to get numbers and you need special characters and all that. But you can use AutoCAD angular directions. So for instance, north can be represented by 0 and see here. And then I can come over and say, okay, 90. And then I can come over here and say 90 here. And come over here and say 180. Whoops, I double clicked twice. And then come over here and plug 180 into here. And then I can come over here and plug 270 into here. And then I can come over here, plug 270 into here. And then I can either type into here 360 or I can type in 0. All right, so now I'm going to get shading for northerly directions, eastern, western, and southern directions. They're all going to be shaded. Okay, so now when I hit OK, and I do have my surface style for direction showing, hit OK here, and see how that all changed. Okay, so now they're being shaded according to the direction the water is going. Now I can always come and select my surface and come over and insert a legend table. Okay, and I can come down, see where it's prompting me down here at the command line. What kind of table? I say directions. Okay, do you want it to be dynamic? Yes. Okay, look over here and see the table that it shows. Which directions are being shaded. Okay, so that's how you can do tables. I want to show you one more analysis here. Now, I have a volume surface here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my existing surface, there's surface properties, and I'm going to turn him off by applying a style that does not display, no display right here. Right, and then I'm going to grab my volume surface here, right click and go to surface properties. And there's actually a surface style in here called cut and fill banding. Now AutoCAD comes with the ability for you to configure a cut and fill map. And what it's going to do is it's going to shady areas of cut, shady areas of fill, and this is built into the software. Okay, so once I select that, I can go to the analysis tab here, and I can run my analysis. But let me show you, before I do that, let me show you how it's configured. As far as the style goes, I'll go into the style here, and notice it's configured to show elevations. So a cut and fill map is an elevation analysis on a volume surface. Okay, so when I go to the analysis tab, I go under elevations. And so this is configured to create ranges by datum. See? When you're doing elevation analysis, you have choices as far as how you want to define your ranges. Okay, notice here, above datum color scheme will be green. Below datum color scheme will be red. Range interval is set to 1. Okay, we're using 2D solids. The legend style is going to be surfaces. Sorry, elevations. Okay, so that's how this style is configured. So I'll just hit OK here. And now I'm going to go over to the analysis style, and notice I am on elevations here. Oh, no, here, I'm on elevations. There's a special button here. When you hover over that button, you're going to see reset range properties from surface style. So when I click this, it's going to look at all the details under my surface style and set those properties, and look what it did. Okay, so anything above 0 is being shaded in different shades of red. And then above 0 is in green. Now I can't, and look, you have the ability to specify that datum elevation here. Okay, if I increase the interval, it's going to decrease. Like see, every 20, it's going to decrease all of these ranges here. So if I change that to 20, notice now I only have 2 ranges. Makes life easy for me. Okay, so if I hit OK here, notice that the whole left side of my site is in cut, the right side is in fill. So that is how you do an surface analysis in Civil 3D. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions that were put in here. First one is, what is a user-defined contour?
Oh, okay. Let me go back to my prospector here. If I go to turn off my surface for the volume, so we can see, so I'm going to turn that off by assigning a no display style. So if I come over to XG and go to my surface properties here, I'm going to change that style to show, I'm going to change it to show, whoops, I'm going to change it to show 1 and 5 background. Okay. A user contour analysis is what you run in order to highlight certain contours. You want certain color, certain elevations, contour elevations to be highlighted, maybe a thicker line, or maybe you want to make it in color. You can run a user defined contour analysis like so. Okay, so what is that? You can come in here and say, I want to do 2 contours. And you come in here and do that. Okay, contour number 1, what elevation is that going to be? Maybe that's going to be 100. Maybe the second one is going to be 110. Right, so in here, I can configure line types, line weights, in different colors to these 2 contour elevations, so that when I plot it, those 2 will be highlighted on my exhibit. So that's what a user-defined contour is.
Okay, the next question is, can you shade areas when running watershed analysis?
Yeah, I just wanted to show you over here. You also, just to answer the last part of that question, you also have to, in your style, turn on user contours. Now, with regard to watershed analysis, I do have a watershed analysis style here. Okay, and shading a watershed analysis is in, you go into, yeah, it's here in the style. See the watershed tab here? You go in here. Now, on this list here, we have our different types of areas, watershed type area types. And if you have any questions about what that is, I'm trying to grab something. Help has an in-depth explanation about what all of these are. And it's describing ways that this is draining. Some areas do not drain, they just kind of hold water. Some areas drain at a point, some areas drain over an edge, some areas drain over two edges, there's maybe a high point. So, you know, there's different classification for those types of drainage areas. And depending on what type of drainage area is produced by the watershed analysis, you can come in here and configure what each is going to look like. So like for depression watershed, self-explanatory. You assign a color to it. And if you want to shade it, what you would do is come under use hatching and then turn that on. Once you turn that on, you can pick a hatch pattern. And if you do want that to be a solid, it should be here somewhere on the list. There you go, solid right there. So that's how you can shed a watershed analysis, but you have to do it per each different type of watershed. So that's it.
All right.
Anything else?
That's it for the questions today. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us, and feel free to reach out. Our website, our 1-800 number, and my email is on the screen. If you have any questions regarding to today's webinar or any previous webinars we've done, or would like to learn more about the consulting and training services we offer, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.